Cleanbois, I saw that it got submitted, but like no one responded to you, right? No one responded to your this proposal, right?
Hell yeah,
Justice!
justice! Get their ass, Grayson!
Am I good to continue?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Senior Officer Walker, in the secret room, were there any
How's it looking?
tools found used in manufacturing of meth?
Your Honor, for a moment, the last question I had an objection to, and then we had, obviously, Bucky had his episode, so.
The compound issue.
No, not that. We were moving forward to having 3 questions asked individually, but my then objection was to
There's
the
a lot of
response
people
of the witness was that those facts are not in evidence.
Was that objection?
Yeah, so how's this looking
Objection,
here,
facts
Crane?
not in evidence.
May
Everyone
I
sucks. I'm gonna get drunk and ride horses and catch salmon all day.
Senior Officer Walker mentioned multiple times.
All
that
right.
He's an expert
So I didn't miss
in
much.
Drugs manufacturing.
I'll give you a rundown. Come
and
over.
In general, in drugs, does having enough knowledge,
Essentially,
knowledge to answer whether
there was a big argument
drug
before court.
in various stages of
Martel got like
manufacturing,
a bunch of
or whether
contempt
the
from the
drug
judge, or
is
so
in
he
different
claimed.
stages of manufacturing.
Then the court case starts. I'm just thinking I'm here to observe.
If I may
You know, I was like on my phone doing other shit, and all of a sudden I'm hearing the opening from the defense,
Not factual.
and they start saying how
And as,
it will be shown that although the PD claims they found, you know, drugs and guns and all this stuff in La Fuente Blanca, none of that has been entered into evidence. And their argument is that these are all props. Or memorabilia. So I kind of halted things and called everyone to chambers and kind of had it out with Murphy and Loxley and was like, are you guys really making the argument that the giant, you know, pile of drugs and guns next to the alleged weapons crafting bench are just props? Because I don't think that's an argument we should be hearing out. Basically said, you know, how dare you guys? It's ridiculous. They insisted they should be allowed to make that argument. Martel wanted a mistrial. Grayson was about to grant it. I basically got everyone calmed down to the point where I said, okay, look, we'll talk about these things in general. We're not going to go into like, you know, why weren't these guns serial run, or why weren't, you know, the drugs tested for their strains, whatever. And
in the secret room, did you find?
Yeah, so we kind of came to like a gentleman's agreement to just run through the case, and then we wouldn't issue a verdict right away, and we'd talk things through later with the Senate.
As a professional,
and since then, it's just been a complete shit show because Nino basically is doing everything he can to stay on that track. Because, you know, he's Nino. And Martel was just shouting back and forth with them the entire time. Martel got like 6 contempts. Grayson's trying to control things, but not doing a great job, in my opinion.
Here's the quick version of this.
It's really bad.
Thank you, Councilor Doe.
In the office at the manor where I live, in that office, there's a stash that has been raided. In that office, there's also a table.
Absolutely.
That table, every now and then, has a cut-up brick of cocaine on it and a gold pistol on it.
Yeah.
The question is this: if someone raids the manor and finds a pistol in that stash, an illegal pistol, and a brick of coke in that stash, like an actual brick of coke that I can then strap to my back, and they can be charged for those things, do the things on the table also allow them to be charged? Because as soon as you bring those things on the table into question, you need to be able to present that brick of coke that was on the table.
Okay, let me
and that gun that
put
was
it
on
this
the
way.
table.
If there was a bunch of cocaine found and seized from Clean Manor, and there was also a picture of a brick of coke on the table, then yes, I would take the picture as supporting evidence. If the claim was that you guys were stockpiling guns at the Clean Manor, and then they included pictures of a gold, pistol or a grenade or whatever, then that would be taken into account. But what I'm talking about is the fact that we've literally got a case about a gun manufacturing bench, and surrounding that bench are crates of automatic firearms and tables filled with drug manufacturing supplies and ostensibly drugs. This person also then has someone growing marijuana and harvesting it in front of a police officer on the grounds of this property. And now the argument is those are just props.
Oh, I might be doing the ultimate criminal faux pas by, dare I say, going against my own boys, but I agree with you. You get what I'm saying? Where I see what you're basically like. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to take. It's kind of like it's a lot easier to take a picture of a brick of cocaine that is on the manor desk than to take a picture of a brick of cocaine that is in that stash. But as long as you did seize a brick of cocaine from the stash and you filed it in evidence and said, hey, we literally got a physical brick of cocaine that I can move to MRPD. The fact that you took a picture of the brick of cocaine on the table doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, the whole drug trafficking thing is weird because this Michi person was growing the weed or tending to it on the property. That happened on the grounds, not inside, obviously, because you don't grow plants inside.
Crane should have been on the prosecution, yeah.
And that person also fled the country. So it's kind of this weird convoluted situation. I'll be honest with you. I never in a million years expected Murphy or Loxley to make that argument.
Well,
or Nino for that matter. I'm just kind of blown away, and I think there's a million things that could have been said here. There's a million things that could have been argued, and that was not something I ever expected to hear.
Your Honor, I would like to just quickly...
I'm also confused why Nino, who literally is still a felon, has not completed his expungement, is asking a large portion of the questions here for the defense, and is acting as an attorney and making objections and motions, and the whole thing's a clusterfuck.
Once again, Your Honor,
you do understand my concern, though, where they need to provide substantial guns that can then be brought into the courtroom and demonstrated. Like did they find guns?
Let me, Mickey. Let me put it to you this way: the rabbit hole that you're suggesting is as follows.
Of production that you witnessed.
If someone has a gun bench and there are guns strewn all around it, and then the argument is those are just prop guns,
Dan, I think you're just confused.
Then if I'm the police officer, then I can just take it down to MRPD.
Provided the answer to in 3 different ways, whenever Mr. Chavez asked it. And every single time seemed like Mr. Chavez is not happy with the answer, thus asking the same question again.
Your Honor, with all due respect, one time he answered by saying that these.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, great. So now we're just going to do that back and forth over and over until someone ultimately has the exact, like, it's stupid. Because then literally what happens is then you get up on court and they say, well, why can't I talk to this ATF agent? Where is he? Why can't I cross-examine him? I'm just supposed to accept that it's stupid.
I would like to highlight that
whoever actually thinks that that is what should happen is small-brained. I'm sorry, but like, people are not playing out this to its full conclusion. They're not understanding the fallout of doing something like that.
Do you know what
it is a never-ending ping pong game. It's stupid.
I could see arguments being made either way. Actually, I believe what you've just told me. I can see that being true. I can see what I even pose as a counter argument to be true. But the only thing I know 100% that should have been handled before this case. Because
I assumed it would have been. I did not in a million years ever think someone, especially as experienced as Nino and Loxley and Braun, would walk in here and just make those arguments without that already being sorted out.
Are you stating on the record right now?
I
that
really
production of methamphetamine, the full stages are in this photograph.
Look.
The tools in which to.
I don't know, brother.
Different stages. Yes.
It's
Your Honor,
the problem is there's
it's very
to explain
who's the cake and eat it too, Antoinette.
To a photograph.
yeah, but like, you do understand.
Very
Like,
Antoinette-esque to be a drug and gun kingpin and have a manufacturing bench surrounded by automatic weapons and cocaine, and then all of a sudden also claim their props when you get caught with it. I'm really just sick of the whole thing.
As an answer to that,
He said the process is in the photos.
By the example from the photos.
Your Honor, a process would require.
I understand that perspective. I think on the flip side of that perspective, though, is
still image of some items.
As a my rebuttal to that, Your Honor, I would
yeah. The flip side of that is we live in a world where well, a more dull world where people just store all of those things, all of their guns and stuff away in other places. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think also the other problem here is everyone's kind of missing the point. Like,
here, do you understand what I'm saying?
Entire...
Let me put it this way. I'm gonna admit to something.
Yes, absolutely.
But please don't charge me for this. In the clean manner, our maids leave out a brick of cocaine at nighttime. Only at nighttime will you find a brick of cocaine left out there that some of our members partake in.
Anybody else?
You can't. That cocaine is very fine dust, though. If you try to take it off the counter, it's just going to blow away in the wind. Can we be charged for that cocaine?
I spoke to the
no.
The prosecution. It's all right.
We also have an AK-47 in our fish tank.
Are we done with?
Can we be charged for that AK-47?
As I said, in and of itself, no.
Right, but I would agree with you this. If you raided us and you found bricks of cocaine and an AK-47 that you could present here in court, I would not be opposed to taking a picture of the AK-47 in our fish tank or the nighttime coke for courtroom dramatics, let's put it that way. But
yeah, or like, you know, having a weapons manufacturing bench and having crates of automatic weapons next to it.
The problem is that's where we get into more of a gray area, because did they actually find weapons that they could bring here into the courtroom?
Are you telling me that you believe that anyone ever is going to have a weapons manufacturing bench and then store the illegal weapons on top of the weapons manufacturing bench?
Well, then the case needs to be run with charging him for the weapons manufacturing bench, not necessarily for the weapons.
I agree. And that's why this case will likely have a law written for weapons manufacturing. The problem here is, honestly, is that we're in a situation where...
All right, there we go. Hey,
I think, the only thing I agree with you on, this needed to be decided outside of the courtroom. The fact that it's being argued in court is... you're right, I don't really know how to argue this. I agree with you.
No one does, because it shouldn't be here.
Anyways, have you seen Lang?
He was here most of the time. He walked out about 20 minutes ago.
Okay, I'm gonna go try and call him.
Yeah.
What the fuck is Lang?
Are you a expert in the Vagos?
Rust.
Are you an expert at... How familiar are you with Miss Michi?
Well, Mickey already left, so I need to call him. I have to role play it out, chat. My take on this court case, this needed to be agreed upon OOC. If the cops raid Speedy's ranch and they find a weapons bench and the weapons blueprints, the crux of their case must rely on that, and they can't rely on
Thought of something I wanted to tell you about.
Yeah, what's that?
Here's a good example. So there's this gentleman, I'm not going to name, that runs a business in the city. his business at the farmer's market was providing numerous different masks, as well as, let's say, realistic looking human body parts for Halloween props. This gentleman at one time had a civilian make a report that someone had been talking to him and followed him under the pier at Dean World. And they had woken up with like an ankle missing or a hand or something weird like that. And they remembered talking to him and they, you know, all this. And there'd been multiple reports about this kind of thing happening. I get a search warrant request. I, you know, sign it because, you know, potential serial killer, whatever. And PD raids his apartment. They find like 30 different, you know, human torsos and arms, eyeballs, teeth, all this shit, right? They raid up a serial assaults and killings case. I'm waiting for it to get filed. I'm expecting it. I'm thinking he's on a hold the whole time. I get told like 2 weeks later, only because I followed up and asked, that it turns out all of the texts at PD were wrong and those were actually just realistic looking props. And the woman never lost a hand or an ankle, and that was a mistake. It was just an injury, and the doctors were able to fix it. So basically what I'm saying is, even if you're a police officer and you walk into a basement and you find a bench for making weapons and a ton of drugs and a huge amount of AKs and light machine guns on the ground in military crates, and it's behind a secret door that you debt corded, and you think you've actually stumbled into a kingpin's lair, you're probably wrong, because they're probably just props. And that's where I'll leave it at. You have a good day.
He's not wrong. Fuck. I kind of agree with him. It's tough though. It's tough. Like, that's a good point. Like, and the thing is, like, I'm not trying to fuck over Speedy or fuck over other people in the city, but it's like, if you choose to RP, okay, let's think about this. If you choose to RP and have those things in your place, that's like, you are choosing to be a drug gun kingpin, right? Everyone's saying, well, what about everyone else in the city? You could, I mean, like, is this weapons trafficking because of the amount of ammo here? I don't know. It's tough. The thing is, did they actually find cocaine, or was it just prop coke? Because if it was prop coke and no cocaine, we're in a weird spot where it's like, if you find real guns, there was no real coke, okay, then they can't push coke. I'm mixed. I agree with Crane that, like, if you bust Speedy's ranch and you get into that basement and you find the gun bench and you find substantive things like the gun blueprints, I don't mind using the props as evidence.
Don't use me as a human shield.
I do agree that
you.
I do agree that it's important that there's some documentation of, like, prop role play. Cause, like, okay, here's another thing. Chat, when we visited Speedy's ranch, you know, when I've been to the basement, has Speedy ever been to the basement and referred to the guns as real guns? Like, has Speedy ever walked into that and be like, hey, like, check out what I got? Like, we got the AKs over here, bunch of, you know, has he ever referenced them? Because you guys are all saying no, but, like, we've referenced the prop guns at the manor. Thing is, Speedy didn't ask a 3D designer to put things that... Okay. This is gonna open up a whole other can of worms about props, but like, yeah, shouldn't we role play though that they're real? Like, it's kind of weird if we don't.